discover the heartwarming journey of a black general, how 12 days changed her life forever. In Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the sun rose over the military town, casting long shadows in the chilly morning air. General Lisa Thomas, a fiercely determined 35-year-old African-American woman, stood tall, ready to lead her unit into deployment. But on this day, fate had other plans. Her phone buzzed, and as she glanced at the headlines splashed across the local newspaper, her heart plummeted. It was a gut-wrenching story about Mr. Jenkins, the beloved veteran who had mentored her, who now faced eviction due to rising rents. The thought of the man who had been a father figure to her in the darkest times, now on the brink of losing everything, seared through her, igniting an urgent fire in her chest. Lisa remembered the countless nights spent in his cozy living room, him sharing stories of valor with a warm smile. He had once lifted her spirits from despair, reminding her that integrity and perseverance could conquer any obstacle. Now, she felt compelled to protect that legacy. Rising housing costs and economic disparities threatened not just him, but the very fabric of their tight-knit community, one that prided itself on supporting its own. The stakes were high. It was more than a roof over Mr. Jenkins' head. It was about honoring the values instilled in her by her mother, who worked tirelessly to provide for them, teaching Lisa the importance of family and fighting for justice. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With an overwhelming urge to act, Lisa gathered her fellow soldiers and community members to rally for a fundraising drive to secure Mr. Jenkins' housing. Her superiors were not thrilled, viewing her passionate endeavor as a distraction from the upcoming deployment. Tension mounted as Lisa stood firm against her commanding officer's reprimands, a clash of duty and morality that laid bare the struggle she faced. It was a moment of defiance, where passion and purpose collided against the backdrop of military rigidity. As days ticked by, the heart of the community pulsed with renewed vigor. Social media buzzed with the hashtag #SaveMrJenkins, and local events sprang up, showcasing an unexpected unity. Each updated post was a rush of hope, revitalizing Lisa's spirit. Yet with hope came fear, the fear of losing sight of her military commitments, while bearing the weight of a man who shaped her opportunities. As if the universe sensed her turmoil, Lisa's estranged mother reached out. Hearing about her daughter's struggles brought back a swell of bittersweet emotions, a reminder of their strained relationship. Resentment mingled with longing, throwing Lisa into an emotional whirlwind. How could she juggle the rekindling of family ties and the fight for Mr. Jenkins? The clock was ticking toward deployment as the community flourished in unexpected solidarity, igniting Lisa's determination. But the question loomed heavily in the air. Could she honor both her military obligations and the legacy of the man who shaped her into the leader she was, even when it felt as if the very system she served was turning against her? As the community prepared for a grand rally, the weight of her choices pressed down, yet within, a glimmer of hope persisted, waiting to soar. The day of the grand rally dawned bright and clear. Lisa's heart raced as she stood on the makeshift stage, the small park packed with neighbors, friends, and local veterans who had come to stand in solidarity. Banners hoisted high read "Together for Mr. Jenkins" and "Community Overcomes." The energy was electric, a vivid tapestry of voices rising in support of one man who had given so much. Looking out at the crowd, Lisa felt a swell of pride mixed with anxiety. This was her moment to speak, but what words could adequately convey the depth of her commitment? Would her voice break under the weight of the expectations? She had practiced countless times in front of her mirror, but now, with the sun setting behind her, the stakes felt overwhelming. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice a bit shaky. "This isn't just about Mr. Jenkins. It's about our whole community. We stand together for the values we cherish: integrity, compassion, and resilience." The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of affirmation washing over her. She took a deep breath and continued, "Mr. Jenkins has always been there for us, sharing his stories and wisdom. Now it's our turn to ensure he has a safe place to call home. We can't let anyone fall through the cracks." As she spoke, Lisa noticed some faces grow teary, others nodding with fervor. Her determination grew with every word, fueled by the support around her. This felt right, using her voice to lift others, just as Mr. Jenkins had done for her. Once the rally ended, the group moved over to sign up tables for donations and other events. Lisa felt a mix of relief and urgency. This was just the beginning. As the momentum surged, she was pulled into conversations with community members, each story reinforcing the need for change. Yet, beneath that vibrant exterior lurked the uncertainty of her military deployment. Lisa's unit would be leaving soon, and her stomach twisted at the thought of abandoning the very people who had stepped up to support her and Mr. Jenkins. Each new conversation beckoned her to stay longer, yet the ticking clock of her obligations loomed ominously overhead. As she walked away from the crowd, a familiar figure approached. It was her mother, a tense but hopeful smile plastered on her face. "You did great, Lisa," she said, voice shaky but sincere. "I'm proud of you." That short sentence sent a rush of conflicting emotions through Lisa. Pride, resentment, confusion. How could they even begin to bridge the gap that years of silence had created? "I thank you, Mom. But I need to focus. There is so much at stake," Lisa replied, her heart pounding at the vulnerability she felt. "We can talk after all this," her mother offered, neither pushy nor pulling away. Lisa searched her mother's eyes, seeing a glimpse of the woman who had taught her to fight for what she believed in. But could she truly open up now, with everything else hanging in the balance? As the sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow over the evening, Lisa's mind raced. Could she take that step, facing the past while holding on to the future? A choice loomed before her, one that could change everything. With the rally now a mere memory, and the community still buzzing with hope, Lisa's heart remained heavy with questions. What if embracing this moment meant stirring up old wounds? And could she really do both, honor her military commitment and help Mr. Jenkins? The crowd dispersed slowly, voices fading into the twilight. But for Lisa, the real battle was just beginning. As the park emptied, Lisa lingered under the fading sunlight, her heart thrumming like the bass of a distant drum. Each cheer, each quivering voice that spoke of Mr. Jenkins wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, yet the dread of her deployment gnawed at her insides. She felt torn, as if part of her wanted to stay wrapped in the warmth of community, while the other part sensed an inevitable pull toward a different duty. "Lisa!" a voice called out. It was Ben, a fellow veteran and longtime friend. "Hey, can we chat for a sec?" She nodded and walked over, the cool evening breeze brushing against her skin, grounding her amidst the whirlwind of emotions. Ben's eyes held concern, shadows cast by the waning light. "I saw how you spoke out there, it was inspiring. But I wanted to check in. You okay?" "Honestly, no," she confessed, rubbing her hands together, feeling the tremor of nerves beneath her skin. "I'm facing deployment in a matter of days, and I can't help but feel I'm leaving everyone hanging. Especially after all this." Ben scratched his chin, thoughtful. "I get it. It's hard to balance this passion you have for your community with your duties. But remember, your service means something. You'll be protecting that very spirit you just rallied for." His words struck a chord, echoing within her. But it also felt insufficient, like trying to fill a hole in her heart with air. I just wish I could do both. Help Mr. Jenkins and serve my country, she admitted, her voice trembling. Maybe you can. Ben leaned in closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. Talk to your commanding officer. Maybe there's a way to stay in touch while you're away. You could even help organize events from a distance. The idea flickered like a light bulb in her mind. You really think so? Absolutely. He smiled, a gentle encouragement that felt like home. And while you're overseas, just know you have this community backing you. They want you to succeed, just as much as they want to protect Mr. Jenkins. That conversation ignited something inside her, a faint hope. Maybe she could be the bridge that spanned her dual worlds, not letting one sacrifice the other. Thanks, Ben. You always know what to say, she said, a small smile breaking through her earlier worries. You'll be all right. Just keep that fire burning in you, he said before giving her a reassuring pat on the back. As she turned to leave, Lisa felt a tug at her heart. She scanned the remaining crowd, a few die-hard supporters packing up banners and signs. In that moment, she noticed Mr. Jenkins leaning against a nearby tree, his face lit by the last slivers of sunlight. He had been the heart of her community, a man built on resilience and warmth. Taking a deep breath, Lisa approached him, determined to solidify a connection before leaving. Mr. Jenkins, she said softly, I just wanted to check in on you. The rally, it was for you, but it was also for the lessons you've taught us all. His eyes sparkled with a mix of pride and melancholy. Thank you, Lisa. You're carrying a lot on your shoulders, but remember, courage isn't just in the battles we face. It's in the love and connections we hold dear. Suddenly, a thought struck her. What if I come back with ideas to help the community while I'm away? Maybe even some support for veterans? He smiled gently, a knowing look crossing his face. That's the spirit, Lisa. We're all in this together. Don't let distance dim your light. Filled with new resolve, she nodded, but as she walked away, the weight of her choices still pressed upon her. How would she balance everything? What if distance truly did change everything? The first stars began to twinkle overhead as she stepped back into the shadows of the park. Each heartbeat reminded her of the urgency of time slipping away. She had to make a choice, and soon. What awaited her back in the barracks? Perhaps new revelations, hidden corners of friendship waiting to unfold? Or would the reality of her commitment usher in unexpected challenges that could jeopardize everything she held dear? The drive back to the barracks was a blur. Streetlights flickered past, casting fleeting shadows that danced through the car like her swirling thoughts. Lisa's hands tightened around the steering wheel as she fought the swell of anxiety in her chest. The deep connection she felt to her community was tethered to the reality of her imminent deployment, a sharp edge of duty cutting through the warmth she had just experienced. Arriving at the base, the loneliness of the barracks wrapped around her like a cold fog. The familiar sounds of boots drilling on concrete and laughter echoed, but tonight they felt distant and hollow. She parked, letting the engine hum slowly die, and took a moment to gather her thoughts. Could she really make a difference from far away? Would Mr. Jenkins and the community remember her? As she stepped into the barracks, her heart sank. Rows of cots lined the walls, each space a reminder of who had already gone and who might not return. She wanted to be strong, to channel the hope she had felt earlier, but the weight of uncertainty lingered in the common area. Great friends turned into allies during tough times were now heads buried in phones, or talking in low murmurs. "Hey, Lisa," a voice called out. It was Kim, her roommate and confidant. Kim's face was illuminated by a soft lamp, her hair pulled back in a neat bun. "You want to grab some dinner? I could use the company." Lisa hesitated, wrestling with her feelings, the ache of homesickness and the dread of what lay ahead. But she also craved connection. "Sure, let us do it," she replied, forcing a smile that felt heavy on her lips. As they walked to the mess hall, the conversation flowed easily. Kim shared jokes about their drill sergeant's latest antics, and Lisa couldn't help but laugh. For a moment, the walls around her heart softened. But as they sat at their usual table, Kim leaned in closer, her voice lowering. "You're leaving soon, right? How are you feeling about it?" The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. Lisa took a deep breath, pushing the weight of her worries aside. "It's tough. I feel like I have to choose between two worlds, you know? My community really needs me, but so does the military. It's like I'm torn in two." Kim nodded, her expression sympathetic. "That is understandable. But know this, your service isn't just about being physically present. You've built connections that resonate here. Those connections will carry forward, even when you're gone." The warmth from her words felt soothing, yet Lisa couldn't shake the thought of distance creating barriers. "What if I forget them? What if they forget me?" she whispered, vulnerability creeping into her voice. "They won't. You've made an impact. Sometimes, the mere act of not being there can fuel a fire of hope in people. They'll rally together for you, just like they did for Mr. Jenkins." As they ate, Lisa contemplated Kim's words, the flickering overhead lights echoing the spark of inspiration. Maybe it wasn't about being physically present, but about the spirit and support she could extend from afar. Suddenly, her phone buzzed on the table, a text from Ben. "Hey, I just got word there's a community fundraiser coming up soon. Let us brainstorm ideas for when you're back. You're not leaving us behind." A smile blossomed on her face, and she felt invigorated. Maybe distance wouldn't weaken her impact after all. She had a mission that extended beyond her time in uniform, a mission of hope and resilience. Dinner concluded, and as she prepared to leave the mess hall, that initial spark of hope began to glow brighter. She might just find a way to keep the warmth of home kindled in the heart of service. Back in her quarters, she opened her laptop, the screen lighting up her determined face. What if she could rally support for Mr. Jenkins while she was overseas? What ideas floated in the currents of her mind that could bridge the gap? With each thought, her heart raced a mix of fear and excitement. One thing was certain: Lisa was ready to explore how her commitment could create a wave of inspiration. Just then, a knock interrupted her focus. It was a fellow soldier, holding a folder. "Hey Lisa, we've got an assignment briefing. You might want to check this out." Lisa's heart quickened. What lay inside that folder? Perhaps it held the key to the answer she was searching for, the connection she feared losing. There was more at stake than just her service. The lives intertwined with hers demanded her to rise to the challenge. But as she opened the door to new possibilities, she couldn't shake the feeling. Would she truly be able to hold both of her worlds together? Lisa took a deep breath and opened the door wider, inviting the soldier inside. The folder looked flimsy, but she could sense weight in the details of an assignment that might shape her future. The soldier, Ryan, slipped the folder onto the table and leaned against the wall, arms crossed, a spark of energy in his eyes. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, a grin breaking across his face. "I heard it's going to be intense." "Intensity is just another way to grow, right?" Lisa replied, trying to settle the butterflies in her stomach. She flipped open the folder to reveal charts, maps, and a hastily scribbled note that read urgent community engagement required. As she scanned the sheets, her mind raced. What if this assignment included ways to connect with the very community she felt she was leaving behind? Excitement pulsed through her. There could be a chance to combine her service with the warmth of home. Ryan leaned closer, peering at the documents. "That looks promising. I think it might involve working with local NGOs. They need soldiers who can engage with civilians. You'd have a direct impact." Her heart began to thump harder, feeling the echoes of Kim's words. Maybe Kim was right all along. It wasn't just about physically being there. It was about presence, about making that connection even from a distance. What could I do? Lisa whispered, almost to herself. I mean, how could I keep helping while I'm away? Ryan straightened, shrugging a little. Why don't we set up a meeting with the community leaders? You're already familiar with them. If they know you're invested, it could really change how they view the whole situation. She nodded, the pulse of possibility igniting her spirit. Yes, that could work. Even the thought of bridging the gap was a relief. With renewed determination, she scribbled down ideas flowing through her mind. After a few minutes, Ryan stood up, the weight of the folder shifting in his hands. I've got to head out, but keep me posted on how you want to tackle this. You have the chance to make waves, Lisa. Don't let it slip away. As he left, Lisa basked in the glow of inspiration, staring at the glowing screen of her laptop. She felt momentum building inside her, a sense of purpose that she hadn't felt since that day she volunteered to serve her community. But just as quickly as her excitement soared, uncertainty whispered to her. Could she balance this commitment with her duties? What if everything unraveled when the time came? A sudden wave of doubt crashed over her. She rubbed her forehead, considering the two worlds she was trying to merge. To chase her thoughts away, she typed furiously, her fingers dancing across the keys. How about a mentorship program? She proposed in her notes. Create a virtual foundation while I'm overseas. Monthly updates, community meetings. It can work. The spark ignited its flame within her heart. It felt right. It felt as if she was not just perpetuating her ties, but fortifying them, building a bridge that could hold the weight of her dual commitments. Suddenly, her phone chimed again, interrupting her thoughts. It was Ben. Let us make that fundraiser a bigger deal. What if we got a few local businesses involved? Just imagine the support we could rally. A sense of joy washed over her. The warmth of home, the community, all of it was still within grasp. Lisa leaned back in her chair, a soft smile creeping onto her face. If she could keep these connections alive, maybe she wouldn't feel like she was leaving anyone behind after all. But then the looming reality returned. How would she manage rising to meet this challenge while sorting her own fears and doubts? As she prepared to dive back into her plans, a chill wrapped around her. The weight of the unknown still lingered. What if her efforts fell short? Or what if she uncovered a new depth of struggle she hadn't anticipated? With hope battling uncertainty, Lisa braced herself. It was time to turn over every stone, to blaze her path. Yet, as she pushed the thoughts aside, she knew one thing for sure. This mission wouldn't just change her life, it would define her service. And just before she closed the laptop, the weight of anticipation gripped her again. Was she ready for what might come next? What if her fears transformed into something extraordinary? Lisa stared at her laptop, the familiarity of the screen providing a small comfort in the whirlwind of her thoughts. It was late, but she didn't want to leave the task at hand. The ideas brewed inside her like a strong coffee, potent and intoxicating. The community deserved so much more than her departure. They deserved a piece of her heart, no matter where she was. With every keystroke, the weight of doubt began to lift, replaced by an overwhelming desire to make a difference. Mentorship programs, fundraising initiatives, everything felt like a puzzle piece clicking into place. The possibility of maintaining her roots while she ventured into the unknown was exhilarating. But what if she stumbled? What if she failed? The sound of her phone pinged again, breaking through the mental fog. It was a message from Kim. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Let us talk strategy for the fundraiser. We have some amazing ideas. A wave of gratitude washed over her. Kim always knew how to lift her spirits, to remind her that they were in this together. They had been friends for years, their bond deepening through shared experiences, laughter, and the occasional late-night ice cream binging. She quickly texted back, "I'm excited. Can't wait to brainstorm. Let us make it huge." The butterflies in her stomach fluttered again, but this time they were tinged with excitement, not fear. Lisa took another deep breath and decided to jot down more thoughts, ideas for community engagement that could bridge the miles that would soon divide her from them. An hour slipped by in a blur of creativity and determination. She felt the urge to reach out, to connect more with the leaders in her community. After all, they were her allies. They understood the need for support and engagement. She opened her email and started drafting messages, her fingers moving quickly. As she paused to review her notes, the faint sound of footsteps outside caught her ear. The familiar voices of her neighbors drifted in, discussions about the upcoming town hall meeting they were all gearing up for. That was the heart of her community, the buzz of activity, laughter, cooperation. She missed it already. A pang of longing struck her, but she quickly shook it off. Leaving didn't mean severing ties. It meant forging new ones, reevaluating how they interacted. Lisa envisioned putting together virtual town hall meetings, regular check-ins that would keep the conversations alive. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Ben, his voice animated. "I've been thinking about the fundraiser. What if we flipped the script and made it a community showcase? Local businesses could present, share their stories, and show how we all come together for a cause. It could be a real celebration." "That's brilliant," Lisa exclaimed, her heart leaping. The idea of celebrating what connected them all rather than focusing on what was lost felt right. "We could make it an event where everyone feels involved." "I love it." They exchanged ideas, their excitement palpable through the phone. Lisa felt a rush of energy as they mapped out potential speakers, vendors, and some fun activities. This was the spark she needed, a real turning point in her mission. But beneath the excitement simmered a breathless question. Could she pull it off? Her heart raced at the thought of organizing an event so significant, and then suddenly her dreams swirled in front of her like stars in the night sky, bright and intimidating. As Lisa hung up, her heart was racing. A mix of hope and fear tangled within her, battling for dominance. Did she have what it took to create this connection while navigating the uncertainties of her new assignment? What would her future hold? Just then, a knock at the door startled her. She opened it to find Ryan standing there, a look of determination in his eyes. "Hey, I thought I'd check in. I knew you'd be hard at work." Before she could respond, he continued, "I wanted to let you know something important that came up about the mission. It might change everything." Lisa's breath hitched, curiosity mixing with the weight of uncertainty. What did he mean? What change could shake the very foundation of her plans? As she took a step back, inviting him in, Lisa's mind raced. What was coming next? Would it be the information that could elevate her plans, or the challenge that could shatter her dreams? Ryan stepped inside, closing the door gently behind him. The atmosphere shifted, thick with unspoken words. Lisa could see the tension in his jaw, the light in his eyes dimmed by something heavy he had yet to share. "What is going on, Ryan?" She leaned against the edge of her desk, anxiety pooling in her stomach. "You look serious." He ran a hand through his hair, taking a deep breath. "I just got off the line with the headquarters. There's been a shift. Funding for the mission has been increased," but his pause sent her heart plummeting. "But what?" "They're changing our focus. Instead of just a developmental initiative, they want us to incorporate a community resilience aspect. It's not just about our work overseas anymore. They want to see what we can do to empower communities both there and here. It's about building bridges." Lisa's mind scrambled to pull the pieces together. That could be a good thing, couldn't it? It is. But it means our strategies need to adapt quickly. We'll need more local engagement than we initially planned. And I thought of you. His eyes locked onto hers, urgency blooming in his voice. With your passion and connections, you could really make a difference. The mix of excitement and dread tangled in her heart. You really think I can? Absolutely. But this could overwhelm you, especially with your upcoming move. You have to tell me if you feel like you're taking on too much. Lisa couldn't find her voice. The prospect of being a catalyst for change exhilarated her, yet the fear of failure loomed like a storm cloud. What if I can't deliver? What if I let everyone down? Ryan stepped closer, his expression earnest. You're not alone in this, Lisa. We'll problem solve together. You have to believe in yourself. She held his gaze, feeling the weight of their shared mission. You're right. But could you help me define what this community resilience looks like? I want to craft something meaningful. Something that involves everyone, even from a distance. Yes. We can brainstorm and gather feedback from the community. They need voices. Your voice. In that moment, hope flickered through her worries. She envisioned a tapestry woven from the threads of their collective stories and experiences. The showcase became clearer in her mind as celebration of unity, resilience, and creativity. Her heart swelled. Let us do it, she said, suddenly fueled by a spark. Let us make this event something they'll remember. We can show that even when paths diverge, connections do not have to fade. Ryan nodded, a smile breaking through his earlier seriousness. Now you're thinking big. We'll create a platform for everyone to share what matters to them. This could resonate beyond our little town. They spent the next hour planning, sketching out ideas fueled by looks of determination and a sense of possibility. It was only as the sun dipped low outside, casting a golden hue through the window, that Lisa realized how much brighter her world felt with purpose igniting every thought. But as excitement surged, an unsettling thought crept in. Would her enthusiasm be enough to carry them through? What were the risks as they ventured into uncharted territory together? As Ryan recalibrated their ideas, his expression serious again, Lisa sensed another doubt lingering just beneath the surface. Ryan, she said, hesitating. What if we fail? What if none of this works out the way we envision? He opened his mouth as if to respond, but his words lodged in his throat. The uncertainty in his eyes echoed her own fears. What could happen if they couldn't meet the growing expectations? Just then, her phone buzzed on the desk, lighting up with a notification. It was a message from Kim, super pumped for tomorrow. Got a few surprises for you. Lisa looked at Ryan, a heavy weight of anticipation settling on her shoulders. The journey ahead felt precarious yet alive. They were on the edge of something transformative. Would they embrace the challenge head-on, or would they crumble under the weight of high hopes? Yet another knock on the door shifted her. Thoughts, a reminder that change was waiting, knocking insistently. Who could it be now? Would it bring more clarity, or another layer of complication? Lisa turned away from the desk, her heart racing as she approached the door. Uncertainty hung in the air like a heavy fog. She hesitated, 1,000 questions swirling through her mind. What if this new visitor brought news that toppled everything they had just built? Or what if it was the missing piece they needed to set themselves on the right path? Taking a deep breath, she swung the door open, fully expecting to see one of her colleagues or perhaps a community member. Instead, she was met with the sight of Kim, her face lit with sheer enthusiasm. Surprise! Kim exclaimed, practically bouncing on her heels. I came to help you with the event. We'll knock this thing out of the park. Lisa's heart softened at the sight of her friend's unwavering positivity. I'm so glad you're here, she breathed, stepping aside to let her in. We were just discussing ideas, but it feels like we're flying without a net right now. Kim's smile faltered just a fraction as she sensed the tension. What do you mean? Ryan jumped in, the urgency returning to his voice. They've shifted our mission, Kim. We need to incorporate community resilience into everything we do. It's exciting but risky. We're scared we won't meet expectations. Kim's eyes widened, then softened with understanding. Okay, but isn't that exactly why it's great to get the community involved? They know what they need. We can create something real together. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and Lisa desperately wanted to cling to that hopeful energy. You think so? Absolutely. We need to listen and taste their stories, not just present to them, Kim insisted, pacing the room as she spoke. We can set up workshops, have community input sessions, and really tap into what they want. People love being part of something bigger. As the words unraveled, forming images in Lisa's mind, she felt a tiny spark ignite within her. You're right. What if we could host listening circles? She turned to Ryan, her excitement bubbling over. It's a safe space for people to share their experiences and ideas. We could even involve local artists. Ryan nodded vigorously, the seriousness of their earlier discussion fading into the background as they brainstormed. Yes. Art can express what words sometimes can't, where you can feel the heartbeat of the community. Kim clapped her hands, her excitement palpable. Imagine a mural that represents our journey together. It could hang in the community center, something everyone can come back to and be proud of. As they built off each other's ideas, Lisa felt the weight on her shoulders lighten. Each suggestion flowed easily, like a stream finding its way over rocks. This wasn't just about them anymore, it was about the relationships they would foster and the voices they would amplify. Their mission was shifting, transforming into something more potent and meaningful. Hours flew by as they mapped out details and refined their plan. Just as Lisa felt they were finally gaining traction, another knock on the door startled them. Ryan glanced at Lisa with raised eyebrows. Should we get that? Kim asked, her excitement mingled with curiosity. Before Lisa could answer, Ryan marched over and opened the door. His face turned pale, and her heart sank. This was someone she recognized. A tall figure in a crisp suit stood at the threshold, a serious expression etched across his face. Are you Lisa Becker? He asked, his tone authoritative. Yes, that's me, she replied cautiously, her heart racing again. I need to speak to you about the initiative your team is undertaking. Fear waved through her, intertwining with the energy of creativity in the room. Was this a challenge to everything they had set in motion? As she caught a glimpse of Ryan's concerned expression, she knew deep down that this was just the beginning of something monumental, or perhaps a roadblock that would test them in ways they had yet to imagine. Could they withstand the scrutiny? Would their plans hold under the pressure of oversight? The man stepped inside, and the air grew thicker, expectations spiraling into the unknown. Lisa steadied herself. What would happen next? Would their dreams fly higher, or would they crash into the very walls they sought to dismantle? The tall man surveyed the room, his gaze weary yet piercing, as if he could see straight through to their ambitions and fears. Lisa felt a knot tighten in her stomach. This wasn't what she'd envisioned when Kim had burst in with energy. Your initiative is under review by the board, he continued, crossing his arms. I'm here to ensure that things stay on track. We've received some feedback. Feedback? The word echoed in Lisa's mind as if it were a drum, beating slowly with dread. Feedback? She echoed, struggling to keep her voice steady. What kind of feedback? He leaned in slightly, studying her, and Lisa felt the weight of his scrutiny. There are concerns that your team may be veering too close to a community-driven model without sufficient oversight. The last report we received indicated that your plans aren't adhering strictly to our framework. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, his brow furrowing. But we're trying to connect with the people. Isn't that the point? To meet them where they are? Yes, but we can't afford to lose focus on our core objectives. The man's tone was firm, even chilly. Community involvement is important, but if you step too far outside the guidelines, it could jeopardize funding and support. The room felt suddenly small, the air thick with tension. Lisa exchanged glances with Kim, who looked equally perplexed yet resolute. This wasn't just a warning, it was a looming storm threatening to derail their vision. I understand the need for oversight, Lisa managed, her pulse racing. But if we don't engage honestly with community voices, how can we create real change? We need to boldly take those steps. The man's expression didn't change, but Lisa noticed a flicker of interest behind his steely exterior. You're passionate. That can be a strength or a liability. He straightened and cleared his throat. I suggest you reconsider your approach. Tighten your objectives, stick to the format, and you might just pass this review. With that, he turned to leave, pausing at the door. You have 2 weeks. Good luck. The door clicked shut behind him, and Lisa felt as if she'd been shoved off a cliff. Anxiety swelled again, pressing on her chest. The plans they had spun together felt suddenly fragile as porcelain, all those bright ideas now potentially tumbling to the ground. 2 weeks, Kim whispered, her face pale. What do we do? Lisa took a deep breath, trying to quell the chaos spiraling around her thoughts. She envisioned the plans they had woven together, the listening circles, the art, the community engagement. It felt like a lifeline slipping away. Listen, we need to stay true to our vision, Ryan insisted, his voice steadying. We can reach out to the community. Their voices are important now more than ever. But how? Doubts crept in, gnawing at her resolve. Can we challenge the constraints? Can we risk it? Lisa looked between her friends, seeing the fire in their eyes mirrored her own. The commitment to their mission, to uplift voices that needed to be heard, felt stronger than the fear of oversight. Maybe we do risk it, Lisa said finally, a tremor in her voice but courage beginning to fill her heart. We'll gather stories and feedback in a way that sticks to the framework while still honoring their voices. We can do it, we have to. As they swapped ideas again, Lisa felt the energy shift. A sense of purpose blossomed within her, fueling that initial spark Kim had ignited. This could be a moment of transformation, not just for their initiative, but for the community itself. What if this challenge pushed them to innovate in ways they hadn't imagined? The thought lit a fire in Lisa, a fire she aimed to stoke within her team and the community they served. But time was short, and risks had to be taken. They needed a plan that intertwined their vision with a solid structure. Could they make it happen? Was it worth the leap, knowing what could be at stake? The clock was ticking, and Lisa felt more determined than ever, ready to transform fear into action. Would they rise to the challenge, or would this simply ignite more doubts? The night stretched into endless possibility as Lisa, Kim, and Ryan reshaped their plan. Ideas buzzed in the air like electricity. The door had just closed on oversight, but they weren't about to let that dim their fire. It was a tested chance to push their mission further, to dive into uncharted waters together. Okay, Lisa said, her resolve hardening. We need to craft a community-focused strategy that stays in line with the review's guidelines. Let us design a format that showcases local stories, but also includes structure and measurable outcomes. Kim nodded enthusiastically, her eyes gleaming. What if we host story circles? Each session could lead to a piece of artwork, a community mural, or even a written collection of experiences. We can frame them around specific themes that relate to resilience and hope. Ryan chimed in, tapping notes on his phone. Yeah. The art would serve as both an expression and a way to keep the community engaged. Plus, we could document the process, providing concrete outcome metrics for the submission. The excitement hung in the air like the warmth before a storm. They strategized late into the night, the raw energy of their ideas spiraling higher, fueled by shared conviction. Hours faded, and as sunlight welcomed the dawn, The trio felt a budding sense of purpose. They were ready to pull their community in, ready to embrace voices that otherwise would remain unheard. But as Lisa lay in bed later, exhaustion pulled at her eyelids. The thrill of their plans had dimmed with doubt. Were they truly equipped for the whirlwind ahead? More importantly, what if they failed to strike the balance between creativity and structure? Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly. Lisa reached out to local leaders, setting appointments to discuss the new direction with them. The more she shared her vision, the more she felt the fear subside, replaced by excitement from each conversation. People were responding. They wanted to be involved, to be seen and heard. Then came the day of the first story circle. The community room was filled with anticipation. Veterans, children, artists, and neighbors mingled, their faces glowing under the flickering lights. The walls were adorned with hopeful imagery and local artwork that reflected their shared history. It felt alive. As Lisa began to speak, she looked out at the sea of familiar faces. We're here to share, to listen, and to create together. I believe everyone has a piece of this community tapestry, and today we'll open the threads. Her voice resonated with strength, echoing the words Mr. Jenkins once shared with her. As people began to share their stories, some filled with laughter, others with pain, it was like watching seeds taking root. Each story opened a door to understanding and deepened their connection. Lisa watched as emotions flowed freely. Tears mingled with laughter, vulnerability entwined with strength. Every voice mattered, reverberating like a heartbeat in the room. Amidst the stories, Lisa caught Ryan's eye, a silent affirmation passing between them. This was what they fought for, a space that honored truths, tangled histories, and the resilience of their community. The energy crescendoed as people began to sketch their stories, each stroke of the paintbrush or pen imbued with dreams. But that surge of joy was soon interrupted by a sobering thought: how could they measure this? They needed tangible outcomes to satisfy expectations. Lisa took a deep breath, addressing the group. As we dive into this, I want to emphasize we're also capturing not just stories, but ideas for lasting change. What do you envision for our community moving forward? Let us harness these into actionable goals. And just like that, the community began to dream bigger, ideas blooming like wildflowers after rain. They scribbled proposals for mentorship programs, local markets, and more art initiatives. This was growing bigger than they had ever anticipated. A week later, anticipation buzzed through them as they gathered to present their findings. The community art exhibit was unfolding beautifully, but each idea came with plans and measures. As Lisa compiled everything, she felt a swell of pride. They weren't just surviving the scrutiny, they were redefining what success looked like. On presentation day, the boardroom was filled. Her heart raced as she stood before the committee. Dressed in her military uniform, but filled with the spirit of her community, she felt ready. Today, we present not just a program, but a living tapestry woven with stories and resilience. What we've created embodies the very essence of who we are as a community, she said, her voice steady and strong. The committee listened intently as Lisa unfolded the vision, showcasing not just numbers, but heart. She spoke about the poignant stories shared, the engagement they fostered, and each new relationship developed. The walls sparkled with meaning. Then came the moment she had been waiting for, the committee's questions. She navigated with clarity, bolstered by the community's spirit and purpose. Finally, the head of the board leaned back, a smile slowly spreading across his face. This is impressive. You've not only adhered to the framework, you've enriched it. This is what we need: innovation, connection, and authentic community engagement. Relief poured through her, a wave crashing over her. They had done it. They embraced vulnerability and strength, allowing innovation to soar through. In that moment, with the community's energy behind her, she knew one thing: she could balance both her duties to the military and her commitment to her community. It was about holding both worlds with love and respect. A month later, under a glowing sunset, with the first mural completed and vibrant colors splashing across the wall, Lisa stood with Mr. Jenkins by her side. The community had come together, each filled with pride and a sense of belonging. "Lisa," he said, his voice rich with emotion, "you've grown to embody our legacy. Keep inspiring, keep bridging gaps, never forget where you came from." With a radiant smile, Lisa held the brush and splashed the last stroke across the canvas. This wasn't just a mural. It was a symbol of hope, perseverance, and transformation. As laughter rang through the air, she turned to look at the gathered crowd. She felt home. "Now, step boldly into your own journey, and never forget the connections that light your path." If this story resonated with you, embrace that feeling. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and support the growth of our community. Share this journey with at least 5 friends who need to see how determination and unity can reshape lives. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your voice matters.